Shri Shri Ras Viharini Ji Ki Jai. Today is day 20, Vraj Kishori Seva Trust, reading Shri Harinaji Ki Pare Shiksha Patr, 41 Shiksha Patr, in Vraj Bhasha and English. Today's reading is letter 4, verses 27 to 30. Misery is generated by bad association, self-identification with the world, the absence of good company, and concern about remaining on the path. One's attitude should be, my miseries will be removed in a single second by the grace of the lotus feet of Sri Mahaprabhuji and the devotees. Tika 27 and 28. Know that the association of those who cause you to fall under material influence to be a source of misery. The devotee's resolve is to never do what they tell you. For example, Prahladji was a devotee of the Lord. His father became a massive obstacle in his divine remembrance and tried very hard to influence Prahladji, but he was not swayed. To stop his son from his devotional practices, he punished him in many ways. But Prahlad tolerated these deathly painful tortures and never lost his faith and surrender in the Lord. The Lord became pleased and slew Hiranyakashyap to protect Prahladji. Vaishnavas can fall into bad company which can cause them to be involved in worldly affairs, but then, recognizing this as a source of misery, they renounce this company and resort to fellowship with accomplished devotees who put them back on a true path. If such staunch devotees are not to be found, then pursue the practice of serving and remembering the Lord according to the principles of the path of grace, while staying aloof from bad company. Keep firm faith in Sri Acharyaji and Sri Gosaiji and regularly serve and remember the Lord. These are the principles of this path of grace. That's 27, 28. Tika. For all embodied souls who have taken shelter in this path of grace, their guide is Sri Acharyaji. By the blessings of his lotus feet, you will meet with accomplished devotees through whose association his proximity will always be felt. There is a well-known account of this within the stories of the 84 Vaishnavas. In Varanasi, when Sri Acharyaji seemingly left his body in the world, called Asurvya Moha Lila, the pastime that tricks the demonic souls, because only those of such impure consciousness would consider him to be dead. One Vaishnava who had been there came and told the story to Bhagwan Das, who questioned whether that Vaishnava was not mistaken, for he said Sri Acharyaji would never do such a thing. But the Vaishnava said he had seen it with his own eyes. Bhagwan Das then opened the door to his temple and showed him that Sri Acharyaji was sitting there reading. The Vaishnava was amazed, but this shows that Sri Acharyaji is never separated from his beloved devotees. Definitely keep company with such devotees, for then Sri Acharyaji will enter your heart. This is how good association should be. Verses 29 and 30. It is so difficult to meet such an accomplished devotee, and therefore I am always distressed. If I am humble, then the grace-filled Sri Hari will bless me. Then I will meet that elevated soul who is devoted to the lotus feet of Sri Vallabhacharyaji. Now I have no other way except to know that Sri Krishna is my refuge. Tika 29 and 30. I have searched everywhere for such an elusive devotee, but have been unsuccessful, and so I am very sad. I am still not humble enough. If I were, Sri Acharyaji would bless me. I am troubled because I don't find such a soul and because of my lack of humility. If I were to be blessed by Sri Acharyaji, I would meet such an elevated devotee and become truly humble. With the association of that true devotee, the Lord would bless me and sit in my heart. And if I were able to be perfectly humble, the Lord would be pleased and reign in my heart. Sri Mahaprabhuji has described in his Sri Subodhini how humility is the one way to really please the Lord. In his Trivinamavali treatise, he has cited a name based on the 5 chapters describing the Ras Leela. It is Dina Kripa Prakatit Rupa, which means the Lord whose form manifests to bless the humble devotee. The gopis did everything to meet Sri Hari and sported with him and praised him, but afterwards, when they realized they depended on his grace alone and began to cry in humility, he reappeared before them. Humility is a very important factor, and it will be gained by Sri Acharyaji's blessing. Tika 30. In this last verse of this letter, it is described how humility and righteousness can become the nature of the heart. When an embodied soul becomes totally attached with mind, action, and speech to the lotus feet of Sri Acharyaji, only then are humility and other fine qualities established in the heart. This is hereby stated to be the best and ultimate method, for Sri Acharyaji is a treasure house of grace and compassion, and appears solely for the purpose of uplifting divinely oriented souls. So when an embodied soul takes shelter in his feet with all their faculties, he will assuage all their pain of separation. Sri Gosai has written in the Sri Sarvotam treatise, the best recitation, I bow to Sri Acharyaji, who is an ocean of grace, and I bow to Sri Acharyaji simply by remembering, whose name all one's afflictions are removed. Smriti matrarthi nashanaha. Sri Acharyaji is an ocean of grace, and simply by remembering even just his name, one's afflictions are assuaged. Therefore, with his blessing, your heart will embrace the qualities of humility and propriety, and realize that I know other way than to surrender to Sri Krishna. Sri Gosai has stated in his Vigyapti treatise, my respected father has instructed us to take shelter in Sri Krishna. By this surrender, all anxiety in this world or the next is obliterated. Now I, Hari Raiji, state that I will follow Sri Vallabhacharyaji and Sri Gosai and make shelter in Sri Krishna my sole aim in life. The eight-syllable prayer, Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama. At every second of every day I will remember this surrender. Thus I state this, that the main principle for followers of this path of grace is to resort to Sri Acharyaji and endlessly repeat this 8-syllabled mantra. Thus concludes letter 4. Aaj ke Anand ki jai ho, sab Vaishnavan ko, sa prem, sa anand, sa nambra, sadar. Jai Shri Krishna. Shri Acharyaji Mahaprabhuji ki jai, Shri Gosai ki jai, Sab Vaishnavan ko Jai Shri Krishna, Shri Shri Ras Viharini Ju ki jai ho, Shri Swaminyas Charano Mudeva, Vasatam me manase sarvada. Thus concludes our reading for today. Tomorrow will be day 21, and we will commence with letter 5.